What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video of the Point After Podcast. Today we're going to be discussing Penn State versus Michigan in the Big House on Saturday, about 51 degrees, at 11 a.m. kickoff, big noon kickoff for Fox Sports. This is a game that is going to be sadly overlooked due to Alabama and Tennessee, Oklahoma State and TCU. There's a ton of good games, USC, Utah. With the nightcap, there's a lot of good football on Saturday, and I really hope if you're a true college football fan, you should start with this, then go to Alabama, and then finish the night with USC and Utah. And if you can get the TCU Oklahoma State game on there at the same time, you need to go with that. But this game here, it's very Clemson NC State-esque. It's two teams that are going to run the football and then open up the pass game with that. Now, these quarterbacks are capable of beating you with their arm. Question is, are you going to let them? Before I get into my predictions, I'll cover a few stats for you guys. Penn State, Michigan, both of them are undefeated. Both of them are undefeated in conference. Penn State ranks number 10. Michigan ranks number 5. Points per game, Penn State 34, Michigan 43. Yards per game, pretty even. Only 15 separating them. Both of them are over 440. Passing yards per game, 250 and 246. Rushing yards per game, 193 and 212. It's as even as it gets, guys. It doesn't get more even than this. Third down conversions, Penn State converting on 33%. Michigan is converting on 45%. Penn State is getting a stop 71% of the time, good enough for 20th in the country. Michigan, 69% of the time, good enough for 26th in the country. Red zone offense, Penn State's converting 95% of the time, Michigan's converting 90%. Sacks allowed, Penn State's been sacked 7 times, Michigan's been sacked 8. Turnovers, Penn State plus 6, Michigan plus 4. Like I said, it's as even as it gets. It does not get much more even than this. Stat-wise, Clifford and McCarthy both threw for over 1,000. 9 touchdowns both. 2 picks for Clifford, 1 pick for McCarthy. Singleton, 5 touchdowns on 63 carries for 463 yards. Blake Corum, 118 rushes, 735 yards, 11 touchdowns. He is the workhorse for Michigan. A lot of places have 2-back rotation. Michigan may have a 2-back rotation, but Corum is the workhorse, the load the wagon, don't worry about the mule type of guy. Washington for Penn State, 20 receptions, 285 yards, and then Bell for Michigan, Ronnie Bell, 30 receptions, 390 yards, 1 touchdown. They're not going to throw the ball, guys. They're averaging less. Both teams are averaging less than 2 touchdowns per game. They're not going to throw it. But the fact that they're putting up 34 and 43 points per game running the football, it's very, very good. Now, obviously, I know what you're going to say. They don't play anybody, yada, yada, yada. I get it. Penn State hasn't played a ranked team all year. Sean Clifford's lost his last 5 games against ranked teams as a starting quarterback. Michigan hasn't played a ranked team all year. The best team they've played is, I don't know, they beat Maryland by 7, but Maryland's got a pretty decent offense. They beat Iowa by 13. The more concerning part of that is they allowed 14 points to Iowa, and then they beat Indiana 31-10. So Penn State had a bye week last week, so that's going to help Penn State tremendously. Michigan's defense was on the field, I think, 76 plays last week against Indiana. So Penn State will have a little bit fresher legs. If they can keep it close in the fourth quarter, that does lean towards Penn State. But I think I need to see when Michigan's bye week is. Michigan. This is Michigan's last game before the bye week. So it kind of works in favors of both teams. Michigan's like, hey, get through this. We got a week off. We can recoup. Give it all you got for this week because you don't have a game next week kind of deal. Penn State, you're coming fresh off rest, right? So you're full loaded. You're fully loaded in the tank. So you can give everything you have. Because and another thing, too, is Penn State has always been the type of team where they start out really, really hot, and then they kind of falter. You know what I mean? Like they started 5-0. Now they got to play number 5 Michigan. 2 weeks later they play Michigan or Ohio State. Last year they started 5-0 with 2 ranked wins. They lose to Iowa, and then they finish like, God, I don't even know, 7-6. Yeah, 2020, same situation. I'm pretty sure. Or kind of the opposite, where they started 0-5 and then won 4 in a row. With 2019, you start 8-0, lose to Minnesota, lose to Ohio State. 2018 is probably a similar thing. You start 4-0, you lose to Ohio State, you lose to Michigan State, you finish 9-4 with losses to Michigan and Kentucky as well. Penn State has been lacking that one true victory that gets them over the hump each year. And if you're looking at years past trend, they lose to this, they lose to Ohio State, and then they should win out the rest of the year. Or they'll lose a game to like Maryland that they shouldn't lose. Penn State and Sean Clifford, well, more so Sean Clifford, needs that one victory that stamps his resume on Penn State. He needs to win this football game. Then you go to Ohio State. Even if you lose to Ohio State, and it's the same situation it's a similar situation to Michigan, which I'm not going to talk about that today. I'll talk about that when they play Ohio State. If Penn State wins this game and then they lose to Ohio State, you still give your team a very good chance at getting into the playoffs. Because at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. Bowl games are nice, but getting into the playoffs is what matters. If you win the Big Ten, you're in. Don't care who it is. If they win the Big Ten this year, they're in the college football playoff, especially if they're from the East. If they are Michigan, Penn State, or Ohio State. If Penn State wins this football game and lose to Ohio State, they still have a chance to get in. Michigan, if they win this football game and lose to Ohio State, they still have a good chance to get in. My official prediction for this game, though, it's a 7-point spread. Should Michigan win this football game? Yes. I think Michigan is a much more improved team than they were last year. They're more experienced. Penn State, like I said, Sean Clifford's lost his last 5 road games, or last 5 ranked games. Sean Clifford in big games hasn't been there. This is the hump that Penn State cannot get over. Those big top 5 ranked matchups that you get every year. I don't know the stat, but you're like 0-6 from what I just read. It's not pretty if you're Penn State. This is the hump you have to get over. If it wasn't against Michigan this year, I might favor you. But you're playing 11 a.m. in the big house. I like Michigan to win this game. I also really like the under and under 51.5. I think if it covers, it's not by much. I don't think this is going to be a 40-30 football game. I could see this being 27-23, 23-16, 23-20, something like that. Mid-40s, somewhere in there. I compared it to Clemson and NC State. That final score was 50 total with a late score by NC State to get the to force it to 50. I think this is that type of game. I just don't see a ton of explosive offense. I see 2 really good defenses. I see 2 run-heavy offenses. So I'll go with Michigan to win, and I'll go with the under 51.5. So if you're into sports betting, you may want to lock that in soon before that under drops. If it does drop anywhere close to 48 or something, I may start looking at the over. So thank you guys for tuning in. I would love it if you'd hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 250. We gained 15 subscribers last week. Looking to get more than that this week. But nonetheless, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please be sure to let me know your prediction in the comment section. I'd love to talk a little bit and debate with you if needed. So thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next Monday.